It's the weekend and it's the return of Premier League football. International break is over. Usually that's a reason for excitement. Look, I love football anyway, so it's always great to see, the return of football in general in terms of domestic football. I do enjoy it. But I've got to be honest, and I've said it a few times on this channel already, I was looking forward to the international break this time around. I actually felt like I needed a breather from West Ham. Wanted to recharge my batteries. I do feel slightly recharged in a sense, but I've got to be honest. It's more just, I think, because I'm looking forward to the return of football as aside from West Ham. I'd really struggling to be optimistic about West Ham at the moment. Because I don't think there's any evidence for us to be optimistic. It's very difficult, isn't it, when you've seen us so many times now fail time and time again already this season. It's very difficult to sort of get that. What's that word? Like source of optimism, something to feel like, oh, do you know what? I actually feel like we might be able to get something. If this happens, we might get something out of this game. I'm struggling to do that with this fixture, and certainly the next one as well. But this one is Newcastle away, of course, Monday night. So we're going to have to wait a little while until we see West Ham play this weekend. But I don't think it makes a great deal of difference. I really don't when it comes to us at the moment. Things are that bad. But we're about to play a Newcastle side who are starting to come back into form a little bit, starting to, their tails are up a little bit, you feel, and they had a little bit of a stuttery start, but they're getting there now under Eddie Howe this season. So let's talk about Newcastle. Let's start as we usually do. Talk about Newcastle, then we'll come on to West Ham. Newcastle are a funny club at the moment because, of course, they've had such a big change. They've got this new owners in, hugely ambitious, got massive backing in terms of finances, richest in the world by quite some distance as well. It's ridiculous they can't spend any money. I think this PSR stuff is a joke. Obviously, I've seen that there's been some changes now, some groundbreaking changes in terms of the income that you can declare from sponsorships, etc. And I think that will help Newcastle. Hopefully, it will help West Ham as well in the long run. I'm hoping that these, as football clubs like this, because let's get it right. Although Newcastle are very wealthy at the moment in terms of their backing, in terms of the status of club, we're not a million miles away. We're pretty similar. Clubs have always felt like we've suffered as well. We have a half decent season, do quite well. That always seems to be followed by a disaster. I mean, Newcastle obviously have had their fair amount of drops to the Championship, haven't they, over the last 10, 15 years, whatever it's been. So, I do feel like there's a bit of similarities actually between the clubs. But at this stage now, I know how I firmly want to be, as camp I'd rather be in at the moment. So Newcastle seem to be, a club that are drawing a line under those days. They've got this desire to now go and compete at the very top. It's not obviously going to be easy because of the rules, but they are certainly well equipped to do that. But the question marks are the ambition with the owners. Is it still there? It does feel a little bit from the outside looking in, whether that appetite's still there, I don't know. It's hard to say, but they've had a fair amount of change, haven't they, at Newcastle United? Obviously, Dan Ashworth obviously leaving as well as their director of football. They've got a fair bit of change going on, but I've got to say, overall, I've been really impressed with them as a club. I think they've invested well. They've put the right players in. When it comes to their sort of players that I like in a minute, but yeah, I'm really impressed with them as a football club, and I feel like they are heading in the right direction. I know that last season wasn't what they expected. Of course, missing out on European football, all that kind of stuff. It hasn't been ideal for them. But you feel that there is a bit of pressure now and expectation at Newcastle now to go and compete at top end. They want to go and get into top four, etc. I know that's their ambition. Can they do it? I'm not sure. I don't think they can this season, to be honest. I feel like that's probably a little bit step too far from them at the moment. But I do think they're going to be comfortably within that top half, and they will be within the European spots. I'm pretty sure of that. And that's under the guise of Eddie Howe. Such a likeable manager. And I've got to admit, he's one that I'm surprised how well he's done at Newcastle. When they appointed him, I was only too surprised. I felt that he might have been a little bit flavour of the month, and he might struggle with the pressures that would come with that role because of the investment. There's just such an expectation for them to do well, but I think he's done remarkably well. I think, considering the fact that they are a club that the media I don't think have a great liking to at times, especially when it comes to their ownership and the money, where it's all come from, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like Eddie Howe, the way he conducts himself, it alleviates that pressure from the owners. He's just a really charming, nice guy, but he's also a good manager. He's a really good manager. He's done so well wherever he's been. Obviously, done remarkably well at Bournemouth, and the fact is the way he's conducted himself at Newcastle and how he's got them playing and competing and what he's done there so far. I just think he's a really, really good manager and one I look at and I'm envious of. I'd love him at West Ham. I really would. I think he is a top manager. But that being said, I don't see him lasting at Newcastle for too much longer. And I just think that's purely because I think that they have got now a desire to really, as I've said, top four, and not just top four one-off, you know, it'd have to be top four regularly. And that's a lot of pressure. And I don't know whether Eddie Howe's that man. I don't get the feeling he is. I just feel like it might be a little bit a step too far for him. And as I say, I feel like they will probably want to make a statement in terms of a manager. Look, much like Man City did with Pep, that big statement, let's get the big manager through the door to take us to the next level. I do wonder whether that's going to be the feeling behind the scenes there. But no, not to say that will happen, but that's just from an outsider looking in. If Newcastle fans watching this might be going, that's absolute crap. We want to keep Eddie Howe and we're very happy with him. And there's absolutely no desire at all. But I'm not saying that'll come from the fans, but I do wonder about the owners. I do wonder whether they're probably thinking, could we go and get a big name to come and, a Diego Simeone, someone like that. Do you know what I mean? A big name that's doing well abroad possibly, and say like we're going to come in and start to get Newcastle to compete for the very top of the table. I'm not sure Eddie Howe's going to be that guy, but be interesting to see how he goes. But as I say, I really do like him and think he's done so well at that football club. And they're finding form now. Newcastle had a bit of a slow start. They weren't great starting the season. They obviously didn't have the best of seasons last season, so there was a bit of pressure, I think, from them. And when they started slow, I thought, this could be the end of Eddie Howe. Now I think he might struggle to keep his job this season because they will not accept a mid-table kind of finish. I think they're going to expect better. They're definitely going to want European football, but I imagine the task is we want to get in that top four. We want to get Champions League football, which, as I say, I think is a step too far for them this season. But they're not miles off. I'm not saying they've got no chance. So they've got a chance, but I just think with the competition that's for those places at the moment, it's just so competitive, isn't it? The Premier League. I wonder if that's a little bit too far. But if they get Europa League, I'm sure that will be a good result for them this season, considering what happened last season. But they are finding form. But they've got some great players, Newcastle, haven't they? This is what I really like about them. They've invested so well. I mean, Isaac has been an amazing striker for them. They've paid out a fair bit of money for him, but that's what you get. You know what I mean? If you go and do your homework properly and you're willing to spend the money and you get the right players for your door, this is what you get. He's just a remarkably, excellent striker, great finisher. He's strong, he's fast, and he's just got everything. He really has. And again, another part of their club, not only their manager, but the striker. I'm envious. I look at him and think, if we've got someone like that, what a difference it makes. And he's an excellent player. I know he's strong links at the moment, isn't he, to Arsenal. But I really hope they don't get him from Newcastle. I hope he stays because he's a great player and highly recommend him. Harvey Barnes as well. He's sort of come back now, hasn't he? He's been injured. West Ham, of course, were very, very keen on Harvey Barnes a couple of years ago. One I really wanted to get because we had Bowen on the right. I thought that'd been such a great balance for West Ham, having Barnes on the left and Harvey. Don't get me wrong, I like Somerville. I'm really pleased with him, actually. I think he's a great player. But at the time, I felt that Harvey Barnes was one I really wanted us to get from Leicester City. Obviously, he ended up going to Newcastle. He got injured very early on in his his time at Newcastle. But he's back and he's a great player. He is an exceptionally good player and reminds me a little bit of Bowen, actually. He's got similar traits. I think he's a really good finisher. He's strong. He's got pace and he's a great player. Really impressed with him. Another one before I talk about Lewis Hall. He's one I'm really, really impressed with. But I've got to say as well, Anthony Gordon. I had a few raised eyebrows when I got him, actually, from Everton. I wasn't so sure. I'd seen him play for Everton a fair few times. Good player, but I was surprised when he went there. I was surprised the money they spent, and I just wasn't overly sure on it when he went there. And I know that I remember early on in his time at the club, he had a bit of a falling out on the touchline with Eddie Howe. I think whether he'd been subbed or something like that. And I remember thinking, this guy's not going to last there. He's not very good. I kind of got the impression that this wasn't going to work out well. But wow, he's proved me wrong. He's been excellent. He looks a really astute signing. Big player for Newcastle, makes a difference. And you can see why they paid that money for him. He's excellent. Obviously, very good for England as well. He's a good player. I'm highly rate him, actually. I think he's proven to be a very smart signing for Newcastle, and I just feel like he signed a new deal. I think he's going to be a big player for them for the seasons to come. I really do. Gordon, he's a really top talent, and also talking about top talents, Lewis Hall. I mean, burst through the scene, isn't he, on Newcastle? He's just excellent. They've got such a fantastic crop of players, and they can bring in through Newcastle. They just seem to bring it, and they love it, like West Ham do. This is what I'm so sick of with West Ham this season. This lack of giving out opportunities to our academy boys that are doing so well at academy level. They just never seem to be given that chance. It pains me, and I'm watching Newcastle. Look, and Lewis Hall, he's just a wonderfully talented player, done so well, really burst on the scene this season. A good lad as well. Comes across so well in interviews. So yeah, really, really good. Very, very impressed with Newcastle actually as a club. I think their recruitment's been spot on. I think that everything about them, the football side, I think it's very, very good. And as I say, I'm pretty sure they're going to be comfortably within the European spots this season. As I say, Champions League though, possibly a little bit too far from. That's my forecast for them. But not to say they won't compete for it. I'm sure they will give it everything they can. But yeah. Regardless, they're a great side, and West Ham are in for a huge uphill task getting something at St James's Park. A tough place to go anyway, but Monday night under the floodlights, the fact they're in form, it's going to be painful viewing, I think, for us. Let's talk about West Ham then. Let's talk about team news first of all. Areola still out by the looks of it. Mohamed Kudus, of course, suspended, so he'll be missing from this one. Nicholas Fulkrug, I mean, who knows? Where is he? I don't even know if he's in the country. No idea. Not sure what's going on. The ongoing bollocks that we're dealing with another striker. I'm just sick and tired of it with this football club. Talked about Isaac, for Newcastle, and then I look at West Ham and it's just a shambles, and an absolute shambles. What a disastrous signing Fulkrug has been. But there's rumours that he's going to be back after the international break. This is Plattenberg on Sky Sports Germany putting out a tweet saying that he'll be back after the break. But I don't think he'll be back for this game. If he's back in the squad, it's fair play to West Ham. They kept that quiet. But even that still, though, it doesn't excite me. Do you know what I mean? I don't go, oh, brilliant, Fulkrug's back. I'm not bothered. So, yeah, I would say that, yeah, Areola out. Kudus and Fulkrug will not be available. Edson Alvarez is back in the squad now. He's served his suspension for another ridiculous red card from him. A player that I feel like he's in his last season at the club anyway. I feel like he wants to move on, like many do. I'm going to come on to Rodriguez in a second. But yeah, Edson Alvarez, though, is a boost having him back in. I know he's a good player on his day. I'm just worried about his temperament at the moment. That red card he got against Nottingham Forest, it was just the sign of a player that wanted to get off that pitch. He knew he was going to get sent off. He made the decision. He knew he was going to get sent off. And for me, that is a sign of, one, he doesn't want to be on the pitch, doesn't want to play for the manager, etc. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing at the moment from him. So I really hope that's been a line drawn and he's apologised to his teammates, etc., and is now going to be in a position to actually start playing well and becoming a key player for this season. Because this is one thing, as much as I'm infuriated with Lopetegui and the fact we've appointed him and how crap he is, etc. I'm annoyed with the players. I've got to be honest. There are players in this team that just aren't stepping up. We've got Lucas Paqueta, who's been diabolical this season. I think Edson Alvarez has been poor, really, overall. And these are big players for West Ham, really. I mean, even look at Mohamed Kudus, hasn't been great. I know he's been put out of position. I do get that. But, some of these players, I just want to see them step up. I really do. We need our big players now to start rolling their sleeves up and performing. So I really hope that we do get that out of Alvarez. It does make a big difference for us, but I don't have much hope in it because, as I say, when I saw that situation unfolded at Nottingham Forest, it just made me feel like that is a guy that's just not happy at this football club at all. And also that goes for Rodriguez. A crap signing again. I mean, I appreciate that he's free. Because he's only free. It doesn't matter. Well, for a start, there's no such thing as a free signing. You have to pay agents' fees and pay signing-on fees. You're still paying quite a bit of money. We would have forked out a few million quid to get the guy. It's not free. They don't just walk through the door and that's it. It's not like that. So I wouldn't go down that road as well. But also, I just think, clearly, we saw straight away, right, from day one, when you saw him put on a shirt and run out pitch, he can't run. He cannot keep up with Premier League football. So why on earth West Ham went and signed him? Why on earth Lopetegui was so insistent he was the player to bring in? I don't know. I've absolute joke. But anyway, it's come out now that he wants to leave the club. Well, good riddance as far as I'm concerned. And I don't really want to see him in the team. I'm getting fed up with him anyway. I think he's crap. I don't get me wrong. He works hard enough and all that sort of stuff. Apparently he's got a good personality and tries and all that. But I'm so deflated with these signings we've made, some of these players, and Fulkwood wants to go back. I mean, he's got a nerve really to be throwing his toys out. He's happy to take the wages, etc., etc. And the same for Rodriguez. I'm just annoyed with it really, as you can probably tell. Despite having a 2-week break, I'm still really not in a great happy place when it comes to West Ham at all. As you are, I'm sure, feeling very much the same. But Rodriguez, yeah, I think he's going to be going in January, and I think, as I said in a video yesterday, that I think that's a big indication, or it's a huge indicator, that Lopetegui's on his way out the door anyway. So there's big changes coming at West Ham. Going on to Lopetegui quickly, I think if West Ham get hammered in this game, I think that could be his last game. I genuinely believe that. I'm going to come to my prediction in a minute. But yeah, I think his future is gone. He's not going to be at West Ham for much longer, as I say. If he lasts beyond Newcastle and Arsenal games, I'll be stunned. Honestly, I'll be absolutely stunned. And the only way for him to do that, of course, is to go and get some results. If West Ham go to Newcastle and get 3 points, then he'll keep his job for a lot longer. He will do, because they'll think, okay, this could be a sign he's going to turn things around. But come to my preview in a minute. Oh, God, it's going to be fun. Right, let's talk about the team. This is my team for the game. This is one I really don't want to see West. I'm really tired of hearing this whole, I want to see exciting, attractive football and all that. At the moment, we haven't got the luxury of wanting to see, exciting, attractive football. We are a team that's getting ripped apart week in, week out. We look really bang average. Well, not bang average. We look poor. We're a poor Premier League side. And I feel like when you're in that sort of situation where confidence is low, leaking goals and things just aren't going well, it's just get the basics right. Just don't make anything overcomplicated. And I feel like for this game, if Lopetegui is going to try to turn the tide here and try to get things back on track and try to save his job, just stop trying to do anything over the top. Just play a basic, simple system to see you through the game, and play players in their positions and give them basic instructions. And I feel like with this game, that's what West Ham are going to need to do. And I think that for that reason, I'm going to go quite defensive. I feel like we just got to stop leaking goals and go there with the mindset of, we just do not want to concede a goal. If we can nick something out of this game, great. But I do not see West Ham. I don't see anything coming good if we go on that pitch and we're going to go gung-ho and try and win the game. They'll just pick us apart because we're so exposed at the back. Our defence looks so vulnerable, and midfield is non-existent. I feel like the quality of Newcastle have got, I feel they're just going to batter us. We're going to have to go there. This is my mind, and I appreciate people are going to watch this and be infuriated what I'm saying and thinking, well, what are you talking about? This is, that's not how we want to be playing. And I do get it. Don't get me wrong. I would love West Ham to go out to James's Park, go full throttle, play a brilliant game of football and go and try and win the game. I'd love to see that. But because we can't, we can see the season. We have not got the ability to do that. We haven't. We cannot compete with teams like that. We're just not good enough. We are not good enough as a team whatsoever. So I want to see, I'm thinking, if I'm Lopetegui, just keep it simple. Just try to frustrate Newcastle as best you can, defend well, be focused, and then try and get into the game as best you can, nick a goals where you can. A bit like Moyes, boy, what people are saying, screaming at me, that's what you want to see. But, I just feel like you've got no choice. I think if you go there and try and play too open and just try and attack them, they're just going to pick us apart and they'll batter us. I really do, especially with the way things are. So this is my team to reflect that joyous outlook on this match and my confidence levels. So I'm going for Fabianski in goal. Of course, I don't really want to see Areola back in the starting lineup. I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. Fabianski in goal. I'm going to go for a back five for this game. I really am. I know it's negative, but I just feel like with the way that we're playing at the moment, with the way that we're conceding goals and all that kind of stuff, I'm just not. I know with the last game, by the way, we didn't concede against Everton. Had it been a better team, they'd have beaten us. Let's get that straight. They'd have beaten us. If it had been a better team, Everton were dreadful when we played them, and we still couldn't beat them. So I'm not going to look into that as any positive. I just feel like West Ham now, we just need to keep this solid. We've got, if Lopetegui is going to try and get something in this game, the first thing, the way to do that is to not concede goals. And we know that we are crap at that this season. We are leaking goals all over the place. So that's why I'm going for this team. Fabianski in goal. My back five is thus. Right back, I'm going to go for Vladimir Coufal. I'm dropping Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he's been really poor last couple of games. And much as I like him as a player, I'm just keeping this because of my mindset in this game. I don't want us to lose. I want us to try and get something from this match. So I'm going to go for Coufal at right back. And the back three are going to be Mavropanos, Todibo, and Kilman. And Emerson at left back. And I don't mean wing backs. I actually mean keep it as a back five, keep it solid. I don't want them to bombing up the pitch. Unless there's opportunity to do so, fine. But I don't want to see it like I've noticed a lot with Lopetegui as well. He sends the wing backs up, who are wing backs or the right back, left back up far too far, especially Wan-Bissaka. He drifts into midfield and stuff. It leaves us so exposed. I'll be having none of that in this game. I would say, no, you stay back and you defend. So I'm going to have, back five, Soufal, Mavropanos, Todibo, Kilman and Emerson. I'm going to have Edson Alvarez playing just ahead of them as the sort of defensive midfielder. So it's almost like a back six, effectively. And that would be my defence. I'm then going to have a three-man midfield. I'm going to Bowen out on the right. Thomas Souček just playing in the middle, ahead, obviously, of Edson Alvarez, but he'll be coming back to drop in and help out. And Somerville out on the left with Mikel Antonio up front. I mean, I've got to be honest. Doing this team, it's... Usually, when you're doing these, you're doing your lineups, like I'm, sure you do as well. Sometimes what you want to see. You're doing it because you're thinking, well, how can we win this game? How can we punish this team? We've been so poor and lacking any real potency in front of goal that I'm almost like this team's just set up just hopefully not lose. That's kind of what I'm doing now, and I find that really depressing. That's what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of the mindset. I mean, I can't go, I'll play him there because I know that he can create something. I don't think West Ham are going to be creating chances in this game. That's how, uninspired I'm about going into it. Do you know what I mean? I'm just not feeling anything of like any joy or optimism and excitement. It's all purely on the basis of Newcastle are going to be far better than us, so we're going to have to defend for our lives and hopefully we can get something out of the game. That's my game plan, which is sad to be saying it, really. Yes, that's my team. I'd like to know what your ones is. You obviously can slate me as much as you want for my team. I know it's not the greatest. I know it's a bit bleak, but I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do with this team. I'm so lost at the moment. My prediction for the game is Newcastle 4, West Ham 0. I think we're going to get absolutely ripped apart. It could be worse than that. I genuinely believe we're going to get hammered. I really do. You've only got to look at our performances on the previous two international breaks when we came back. I think the first one was at Chelsea. I think it may well have been the Chelsea game, one of them. I should have checked that out before I came back, but really poor. We never come back in a good mindset. We always seem to come back all over the place, even though I've been talking about it, saying you've had, Lopetegui's got 2 weeks on the training ground with these players. And I appreciate a few have been on international duty, but he's had his defence. He's had Todibo, he's had Kilman, he's had Emerson, Wan-Bissaka, Soufal. Soufal's been away, but he's had a fair few players to work with. Goalkeeper. You should have a good idea now of your back line and how you're going to defend. But it doesn't serve me any confidence. I don't now feel I should be. I should be going into this going, do you know what? We've had 2 weeks with no distractions. He's been working on that training ground. I expect to see a really well-organised West Ham. I've said that twice now, and I've been so shocked by how poor we've come back looking. So that's kind of how I'm imagining things are going to go. I think we're going to get absolutely ripped to shreds. I never say that on this channel. I always try and lean with my heart and go, do you know what? I think we might not get anything, but you know what? Let's go for a draw. I try to lean on the side of optimism, but that is my optimism. That is honestly if West Ham lose 4-0, I would not be surprised. I think it could be worse. I think West Ham are going to get absolutely ripped to shreds. And if he does, though, the only silver line to that would be I think it would be Lopetegui's last game because he is a dreadful manager, and the sooner he goes, the better. Come on, you ones.